Have you been hallucinating lately?
No. Should I be?
Yes. You should be.
No, should I be?
Yes.
Yes, you should be.
Should be.
Well, welcome to Screams and Streams, the podcast that looks at the best and worst horror movies as rated on Rotten Tomatoes from 1970 onwards. I'm your host, Chad, and with me are my co-hosts,
Sam.
And
Mike.
Be sure to check us out on Instagram. Our handle is @ScreamStreamPod. Also, check out our website, screamsandstreams.com, for more information about all the films we are looking at. Just a warning, if you don't like spoilers, we recommend that you stop listening now, check out the film, and rejoin us for our discussion. Today, we are looking at David Cronenberg's 1983 film, Videodrome. It scored 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, so let's get into it. Sam is going to give us our summary.
All right. The first one I looked up doesn't quite do it justice. All it said was a programmer at a Toronto TV station that specializes in adult entertainment searches for the producers of a dangerous and bizarre broadcast. But I didn't think that was enough. I think that's just like kind of the beginning. That's like the first 10 minutes.
That's a very vanilla explanation of how this film is. Yeah.
Wacky shenanigans ensue.
So then I liked this one. Sleazy, low-life cable TV operator Max Ren discovers a snuff broadcast called Videodrome, but it's more than a TV show. It's an experiment that uses regular TV transmissions to permanently alter the viewer's perceptions by giving them brain damage. Max is caught in the middle of the forces that created Videodrome and the forces that want to control it, his body itself turning into the ultimate weapon to fight this global conspiracy.
Yeah, that is much better.
Yeah,
Way better.
That's way better, yeah.
That's actually the plot.
Yes. Yes.
Potato.
Sleazy lowlife, though.
So I love how that one kicks off with a little more energy, that's for sure.
Definitely. Got some pizzazz.
All right, and moving into our sinister sips, what do we got here? This looks like a tequila sunrise.
It's got tequila in it, so good call. Ooh. This is the Long Live the New Flesh from the Museum of Pop Culture, made specifically for Videodrome.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Just tastes like orange juice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's not unpleasant. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it calls for 4 ounces of orange juice and only an ounce of tequila, so I bumped that to 1.5 ounces.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Probably could have gone to 2.
Yeah, it's really sweet, but it's good. I like it.
Yeah, it's all right.
He's so dismissive.
I'm not going to say it's my favorite drink. We've had better, but it's all right. First impressions, Mike.
This is the first time I've seen this movie, so it was an adventure. I really, really liked it. It's funny because I've always been a fan of Cronenberg. I've seen lots of his movies, but for some reason, this one I never picked it up. Watching it, it's definitely a film from the 80s.
Yeah.
It feels like an 80s film. It feels very independent, but I enjoyed the idea. I enjoyed the philosophy. I think my love of it, though, does come from listening to the audio commentary and hearing Cronenberg talk about sort of where his ideas came from and sort of what drove him to make the movie at that time.
Right.
But I did love the idea, like it's 1980s, video, cable TV is new, TVs are becoming more prevalent. And so that fear of what technology would do if it took over, like the Ray Bradbury-esqueness of it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I really liked it.
Yeah, well, I'll chime in on that. I think still it's an older film, but has relevant issues that they bring up today. But I just thought it was okay. I don't know if I was in the mood for it. Cronenberg's one of those guys that you really have to kind of be in the mood to see his films.
Yeah.
I sat down and I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it. I don't think I liked it as much as you did. But it kept me entertained. It kept me engaged. I had to restart it like 3 times because kids kept coming into the room, and it was just not appropriate for anybody to see.
The vagina stomach wasn't.
So I'd say I was entertained. I didn't love it, but it was a good watch. I'd say check it out. Yeah, Sam?
Yeah, I think Mike calling it an adventure is pretty accurate. It was a wild, weird ride. I didn't love it, but overall I liked it. It was interesting enough. It had enough going on that kept me engaged and watching. I wouldn't really rush to recommend this to anyone, but I think it's worthwhile to see. You know, got nothing else to do. No, it's not like it's a bad thing. If you're,
got nothing else to do, you can watch this snuff film.
I think it would just have to go to like the right people, but yeah, it did feel very 80s. Yeah. Acting was okay. Like, I don't know. It wasn't. It was good, but not great.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, now we're going to go into our tropes hall of shame. I'm going to kick this one off. The first one I noticed was your desires become your obsession, and you're just all consumed by it. Max Ren goes in at first and he says, oh, it's just a little too soft. I'm looking for something that's a little more nasty. And then he sees this thing and it ultimately just consumes his whole life. So, So that was my first one. And then I had another one that was Videodrome, run by one kind of evil empire. When he goes in and he sees Dr. Oblivion.
Yeah.
And just the way his room was situated, it's like an evil lair.
Yeah.
He's got a big throne he sits on and all these bits of armor and stuff around.
You're expecting like candelabras.
Yeah, exactly. So he comes in from, derelict. He comes in from that area and then he walks into this super done up just room where Dr. Oblivion hangs out. It was just a little cheesy and much for me. Like
it was a lot.
Like Dr. Evil kind of. So those were my two. Mike, did you have a couple?
Yeah, my first one is just the tech guy with glasses and a vest with pockets full of tools and trinkets.
Trinkets.
When he goes down to see Harlan in the video suite. And it's he's straight out of every IT 80s nerd stereotype. And then my next one comes way later in the film, which is just waking up in bed next to a corpse or next to the person that you weren't expecting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when he wakes up next to Masha.
Yeah. Sam, did you have a couple?
I actually didn't have any. I thought a lot of the stuff. Yeah,
it was very original for a film. So.
Yeah, it was. Like, I didn't really pick much out of it, so maybe that was just me being lazy, or being very original. Thanks, Mike. So there we go.
My next one would piggyback on that one where he's woken up and it was a dream, right? He puts that giant headset on and then...
Let's talk about that headset.
Oh, that comes in later. That sucker is just massive. And when he's looking around, I was like, did he do a good neck warm-up before he put that sucker on there? That thing is massive. So he puts this giant monstrosity on his head, and then the next thing he wakes up and he's snapped back into reality. So that one, I guess, is kind of similar to what you said in that one. My next one is, and I guess this is why it's a trope, because it happens in absolutely every single film, is nobody believes anybody when they're talking about it. He's not believed what he is told. It's real, Max. I don't believe it.
Right.
It's basically the quote, right? And so he no, it's not real. It's not real. And then he gets consumed by it and then figures out that, hey, yeah, this is pretty real. So, all right. So moving on, we're going to go into our one-liners. Sam, do you have any one-liners for us? What stood up for you?
I did have a couple. The first one I liked was on the actual TV. It was an ad for Civic TV, which is the station, and it says Civic TV, the one you take to bed with you.
Yeah,
which I thought was really good with just what happens in this film overall. And then my second one is when Max Ren hands Bianca the videotape and he says, "Careful, it bites."
Oh, yeah.
I really like that one too.
Mike?
My first line is when he's talking to Nicki Brand and she just says, "I live in a highly excited state of overstimulation."
Oh, okay.
And then my next one, when they're in the interview and he's just flirting with her hard, like ignoring the interviewer. Talking
So funny.
Totally turns his chair sideways.
I'm done with this. I'm all about you.
Love to take you out to dinner.
But the interview asks, "Is Max Ren a menace to society?" And Nicki Brand's response is, "I'm not sure. He's certainly a menace to me."
Right. Yeah. So was she supposed to be on there to like be a rebuttal to his, viewpoint on sex? Because she's a pervert too, right?
She runs a sex advice radio
Sorry,
show.
Not a pervert. She has other interests.
Yeah, we don't kink shame on this podcast.
No. I'm sorry. That was not appropriate. You do whatever you feel is comfortable. But she likes to get whipped and attacked, and her sexual desires are quite heightened. Mm-hmm. And I thought she was supposed to be on there to kind of be the opposite of what he was saying, but I guess not.
That's what I thought too. I thought the same, but then, or does she evolve like later? Because she says, isn't it like, she's like, "Oh, I can deal with some of the hardcore stuff too, right?" Like, and then it's like, she like burns herself with a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe she evolved.
Because she watched Videodrome as well, so then she's as influenced by it as he is. Yeah. So maybe it dropped. Maybe she had slight sexual tendencies, but then that drew her out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was saying like, "Oh, I could do that.
Yeah,
like, I could do that too."
Yeah. And then she wants him to like cut her or whatever.
Yeah.
It gets kind of weird.
It gets super weird.
Super weird.
It's a pretty porny movie. Like it's.
Sorry, did you say horny or porny?
Horny. Horny.
I heard the other one too. I was like, we don't kink shame.
We're not to that category
If
yet.
you're into, yeah, we're getting.
I'm totally lost. Where are we?
It's your lines now.
Okay. I had a few. My first one-liner is when Max Ren is talking about Videodrome. It's just torture and murder. Very little plot. I think it's what's next. And he's trying to push it on these people. And then there was Mr. Oblivion. I liked his line. I refuse to appear on television, except on television. Just records all these tapes, like hours and hours of footage to like hit any kind of interview.
No matter what it's going to be, here's
Put
your
in
options.
tape 3C.
It was a wild collection of tapes
Yeah.
too, like in this little layer.
Yeah, just a huge amount of tapes. Yeah. Mike, did you have any?
I like the line where he's in the office and they're talking about, I think it's for Samurai Dreams, but I'm not 100% sure. And they're just talking about like, this is too much. We can't show this on TV. And Max's response is better on TV than on the street.
Right.
I like that one. And then I had this one later when he's been confronted by the whole conspiracy and their sort of manipulation of him. And it's a bit long, but it's like, I'm not some fucking servo mechanism you can switch on and off. You want me to run around like an asshole? Tell me what I'm doing it for. Otherwise, I'll see you during office hours.
There's a couple of these lines that are just thrown in nonchalantly. Like I have this one where they're in the limousine and it's the head guy. It's not Mr. Oblivion. It's the other guy. What's his name? Mike, do you know?
Yeah, one sec.
The CEO of Videodrome.
Very convex.
Another weird name.
Look at these names. Anyways, he starts in, he's like, we make inexpensive glass for third world and missile guidance systems for NATO. That was one of them. And then when he puts the giant headset on him, he wants to induce these hallucinations for Max Ren. And he says, I think you'll find a little S&M will be necessary to trigger off a good, healthy series of hallucinations.
Just a little.
So those were my last two. And Sam, you wrapped up. Mike, did you have any others?
Yeah, I have one more.
Okay.
And it's Harlan talking to him later. He's like, why did you watch it, Max? And his response is just business reasons. Yeah. Oh, I love James Woods in this movie.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Okay, now we're going to move into what doesn't hold up. Mike, you're going to kick us off with that one. What doesn't hold up for you?
So despite my love of the film, there were a few things that didn't hold up for me. And the first one, maybe this was more for the hiding in the shadows section, but the emotional rescue show, when he walks into her office, it sounds like a sex call-in show where she's like,
oh yeah,
hello, lover. What are you looking for? And it's like, this is not a advice line voice.
She's dressed up in her workout leotard.
Yeah.
And that headband with the receiver in her head.
Yeah. It took me a second to realize what was happening in that scene just because it was so weird.
Yeah.
And then my other doesn't hold up is just, it's a quick little throwaway scene, but when Max is walking through the hall of the offices, there's a woman there in the morning and he just grabs her butt as he walks by. And she just gives him like a little like, oh, you.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I didn't see that either.
Catch that.
That's funny.
Oh, you. Sam, did you have any?
I did. My first one was actually the same as Mike had. The first one, just that weird. I didn't understand that scene, and so I thought it was kind of weird. Obviously, like communicating with one another via like cassette tape is like super bizarre and very, I don't know, of its time. I
did love the fact that they produced the wake up call video.
Yes.
It's like, does she go into the studio and record that every night?
I know.
So bizarre. And then also just like the giant satellite from the beginning. And I get like that was a thing when like satellites are a thing, but it was crazy. And I was like, I have a note in it. I was like, is this what the 80s were like? Like just giant fucking satellites outside.
There were.
Yes.
There were. I looked it up after, but
giant. I had a neighbor whose like a good portion of his backyard was taken out by this giant satellite dish.
Bananas. That's crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Yes. So very of its time.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then to piggyback on that, mine were some of the special effects. Some of them held true.
Yeah.
But some of them were a little lacking. When he shoots the CEO and he melts, that looked pretty laughable. I was, I don't know what's happening there. And the technology you know, you're a 1983 movie that's supposed to be in the future is, you know, kind of tough. I thought it was supposed to be futuristic because he was like, we didn't have wake up videos and we didn't have.
I guess, we didn't have VR.
Yeah. And you didn't have like what you take to bed with you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, TV ended at 12. They played the national anthem and then you got the yellow bars. Like that was it. Yeah.
So weird.
It shut down. Now it's just all the time. You just watch 24/7, right?
You have to wait till Buckshot at 6 a.m.
So yeah, those ones and the tapes, like just some of the special effects and the dated look of the technology.
I thought you'd be excited by the return of Beta in another movie.
I know, right?
I have a comment. I'm like, it's Beta time.
Betamax. Yeah.
It's back.
It's amazing. It's coming back. I hope Blockbuster makes a return. Mike, did you have any others?
Yes, I found, like, just same with you, the special effects, while like the body horror was cool, some of it didn't hold up, and like the hand in the stomach effect.
Yeah.
Like it was when he was putting the tape in, like, interesting. But then when his hand is inside the stomach and it's just like this dead gray thing that they couldn't color match properly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They tried to mask that with some quick shots. Like I think back in the day, if you were to watch that, it would probably be not as noticeable. Mm-hmm. But when I was watching it, I was just, oh, come on. Yeah. Like, go back, color correct it.
In the commentary, James Woods just talked about how he hated the makeup process because the prosthetics don't match skin tone. So then they make it try to match skin tone, but it's easier to change the actor's skin with makeup than it is to redo the prosthetic. So then he had to sit in makeup for hours while they tried to color match properly to the prosthetic, and they didn't get it right. And
yeah, that'd be a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And they still didn't get it right.
Yeah. And then on the subject of just Max, he has to be the most easily manipulated person ever in film.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like he talks to Bianca, I'm on your side. He talks to Harlan, I'm on your side.
Yeah, I know.
He talks to Bianca, I'm back on your side.
No critical thinking skills.
I thought the exact same thing. But I thought that he must be being hypnotized.
Well, that's what Videodrome does, but is Bianca?
I don't know.
Maybe Brian Oblivion's tapes hypnotize him too.
Maybe. Because I just couldn't see him flip-flopping like that so quickly and so easily.
Yeah.
You must kill her. He shows up. No, you don't kill me. You kill them. Okay. I was like, we're just going to put this new tape in your belly, and that's going to tell you what to do. And I was like, what the fuck, guy?
I have firm, strong beliefs. No.
No, I don't. Actually, I'm going to do what you say.
I kind of saw him as someone who's just like easily influenced, but I thought that was like supposed to represent the general public.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like the threat of the media and like TV being able to persuade either way. So I kind of just read it. He's like just a normal.
He's manipulated.
Yeah, he's manipulated by everything, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That,
I like that. Actually.
We'll go with it.
That's good. Let's go with that one.
Tested time.
There we go. I'll add it to my list.
Sam, did you have any others?
We already talked about the weird helmet.
Oh,
It's just so big.
Giant.
Like, laughably humongous.
And when he turned sideways, it was even more laughable.
It was
I was
hilarious.
just hold still, man, because you can't move with that thing. Yeah. So we're going to move on to most gratuitous scene. I'm going to kick this one off. So my most gratuitous, it was the gun hand.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
with the tendrils going in.
when it
Oh, I
started to
shuddered.
go into his arm. But then it reminded me a lot of Resident Evil, like the big lumbering guy in Resident Evil. Anyways, he pulls it out, and sometimes it's just this slimy club, and other times it's other times it's a pistol, and other times it's his hand.
Yeah.
And then he hides it, and then he pulls it out, and it's this big, I don't know. Every time I saw it, I was like, ugh, this thing is gross.
I had a coworker who like he asked like what movie we're watching this week, and I said this is it. And he goes, I googled it, and the fucking arm gun is disgusting.
Yeah.
I was like, it is. It really is.
It's like covered in ooze and shit. Yeah, it's just gross.
Cronenberg in a nutshell.
Yeah. Ugh. Mike?
My most gratuitous, well, there's a lot in this film that's over the top, but the only one I wrote down, and this is more laughable, but it's the size of the crossword puzzle in his kitchen, which I know it's a weird thing, but like he has.
What the fuck?
I know.
How big was it?
I didn't even notice the crossword puzzle.
When he's there's the fridge, the stove, and the entire wall beside him is just a giant crossword, floor to ceiling.
Really?
Like, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm gonna have to go back and
Yeah, I
check this out.
definitely have to
I had no idea. I didn't even pick up on that. That's crazy. I'm so glad you didn't, because if I was the only guy that didn't see this giant crossword puzzle,
I feel like it was pretty big. It's the floor to ceiling.
But I mean, in this film, it's weird that that's the only one I wrote down.
yeah.
I didn't find Videodrome gratuitous.
None of the other stuff. Just this giant crossword.
Everything else was fine and blasé.
I know we don't kink shame, but I feel
Someone was really excited to do that crossword.
This was a how-to film, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I put Barry Convex's death. Not necessarily, like, I did think like it was kind of cheesy, like him melting, but also the overacting when he was getting shocked. It was bananas. And he was screaming and flailing. It was too much.
It was a sight to behold. Yeah.
It was a sight to behold. And then my other one was the body parts flying out of the TV at the end.
Oh yeah, that was so ridiculous.
It was crazy. I was like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, I know. It reminded me of Reanimator when the body part shot out of that when overdose. Yeah. And he like shoots him. But a lot less funny. Okay, we're gonna move into terrifying or titillating. Careful, Mike. Go ahead.
I'm looking at my note. I'm like, I know why I wrote it down, but I don't want to say it now. No. So I'm gonna qualify this before I read my note.
You're in a safe place with the tree and the trust.
We're in the trust tree. So I definitely didn't find this movie titillating. So I just wanted to talk about sort of the kink of the film and the ear piercing scene. And I just put uncomfy beside that.
Uncomfy.
Yeah. Because
that's my what the fuck. You took my.
It's also my what the fuck as well.
It's like, why is he licking her forehead and then licking the.
It's just so, like, her ears are pierced. Obviously, like, they're not going to do it on film. But it was too tactile. It was too visceral. I didn't like it. And so I put it in terrifying and titillating because there's nothing titillating about this movie for me. And that was probably the most upsetting part for, like, the sexual side of this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I would agree.
Sam, you're up next.
The vagina stomach? Like, I'm not into it, but.
I'm not into it.
But it's terrifying.
You could give birth to a baby so easily. It's not fair.
It was really, I don't get it. Really,
I find it so funny you call it the vagina stomach, because now I see it as that. Before, I only saw it as like a tape.
Yeah, I saw it as a tape player as well.
Yeah.
It was a full-on vagina, I'm pretty sure.
Because I just saw it as, like, technology became flesh became technology.
Yes.
And so he's just inserting.
And they were feeding that tape, which tells him ultimately what to do. But now that you say, I can't get it out of my head.
It looked like a vagina. It was a full-on vagina. And then when you put the gun in it, like,
that was just, the gun goes in way too many places.
Yes. And he's so suspicious.
And so far in, too.
It's like all the way in. It's like down to his elbow.
To the point where he's like leaning.
Yes.
He's like right about to shoot convex. He's like lumbering around. With
down here around my kidney somewhere. I know it.
So more terrifying, I think, than titillating, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the whole theme of this film. It was more terrifying than titillating. The fact that he gets into Videodrome in the first place and he keeps seeking it out, like he becomes obsessed with it. It's just, I have to know, why would these actors do this? And why would they? And it's like, well, it's real. It's like, no, it can't be. But I'm going to check it out. So there were those attack scenes and like the whipping scenes and all that. So it was quite disturbing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an easy watch. Like, really, even though with my, once my kids got out of the room and stuff, when I was downstairs and watching it, it's just like, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot, and not just like those scenes, but all the makeup and the extras. Like Cronenberg, he has a style that can make you feel very uncomfy. For a long time. For a full hour and a half, you can be like, this fucking movie.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to Stood the Test of Time. And Sam, you're going to kick us off with a couple of those. What stood the test of time for you in Videodrome?
I think the overall theme of like screen time being bad and that it can corrupt people. Like we saw that with like Marilyn Manson at school shootings and those types of things. So that was like through the 90s, early 2000s. And we see it now with countries right now banning screen time for kids and stuff like that. So I think just that kind of fear of technology and, I don't know, brainwashing, those types of things. And then my other thing that stood the test of time was, although that's a common theme, the movie was pretty original in itself. Like I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it before. So no. I like that throughout the film you didn't really know what was a hallucination and what was kind of real, like what was reality and what wasn't. So I liked that. Like even as a viewer, I didn't know. So
Mike, did you have any stood the test of times?
Yeah, my first one was just a quick little scene. I didn't put it in back it up because it was just a flash, but after Nicki burns herself with a cigarette, the next day Max is at the cafe or the restaurant with Masha and she lights her cigarette. And just the way he is just focused on the flame.
He's mesmerized by it.
I just thought that was a cool little transition or parallel in the film.
Yeah.
And then my next one for Stood the Test of Time is just the idea of a snuff film.
Yeah.
Right? Like we still, with the internet, I don't know, but we still don't really know of actual films of people being killed for entertainment reasons. I know there's fail videos that like come with warnings and things like that or accidents. But, you know, there was this movie, there was 8mm. There's been...
I was going to make mention of 8mm with Nicolas Cage because I think that's about the closest thing to this film that I can recall.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if 8mm got some inspiration from this film.
Probably, just not as... it was Schumachered up, not Cronenberged up.
Exactly, yeah.
I haven't even heard of it.
It's a weird one. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
It's also not a fun watch.
Yeah. And then just to go to sort of my fandom of Nine Inch Nails, this movie, the whole snuff film idea, it reminded me of when they made the video movie for their album Broken.
Yep.
There were these weird like home video clips of a torture in a garage. It's weird. It's hard to watch. But the FBI ended up investigating Nine Inch Nails and looking for copies of this tape because they thought it was real, and it turned into this whole investigation of the band and Trent Reznor. And so really? Videodrome and like the poor quality of the video in this, it flashed to that. And so I like that idea, that sort of myth of out there are snuff films, right? Everyone remembers Faces of Death.
Yeah.
I never watched it, but it was that video when I was in junior high. There's a rumor there's a movie called Faces of Death where you see people die. And oh, my brother's cousin's friend's uncle saw
Everybody's
it.
got a friend who's got a friend who saw it. Yeah.
So I like that aspect of this movie.
Yeah. Well, mine was kind of said by Sam. It's the idea of, just being consumed by technology, always pushing to get a little more. Right? Everything's so readily available right now that you can, in an instant, just watch the most disgusting thing. And then eventually that's not enough. So you got to go to something else and something else. And this movie really focuses on that. He starts watching it and then it just takes over his life. And then he has to find it. And then he finds out about it. And it's like way worse than what he thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right? So just that you can be consumed easily by what you're after, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add a comment just on the idea of the pursuit of the makers of this. I love that they assume like this must be from Malaysia or like, some other nation without rules, but it's like, no, it's from Pittsburgh. I was like, have you seen Pittsburgh?
That's in the States. Yeah. He's like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to Pittsburgh. Sam, do you have any others?
I just had one more. I liked that as the audience, it's like you're watching Videodrome as well. Like it flashes, like the opening scene flashed Videodrome, just like it did in the actual movie itself. So I actually really liked that. I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
Nice. Mike?
And my last one is just the undulating TV scene.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was quite good. And I loved the little added detail of the name of the TV changes during that scene to Videodrome.
Oh.
From, I didn't write down the original brand, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, how they did it, and it's kind of cheesy now, but it was still a cool idea. And like the bladder on the screen coming out was...
I thought that looked pretty good still by today's standards. Like the fact that he was, going into the television, I thought still looked pretty cool.
I just meant like the moving, like the undulating top and the sides.
The breathing of the whole thing. Yeah. I still thought that was pretty cool. So now we're going to go into eerie to ear splitting. Mike, do you have a comment about that?
My first one is just the wet mouth noises when they kiss was disgusting. It was more upsetting than the ear piercing, maybe. No.
some odd kissing choices. They
Yes.
it didn't seem very, I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be forceful, but it didn't seem very romantic or anything at any time.
No.
When they were kissing, was I like, oh yeah, they really like each other.
No, they were there for each other's gratification.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my next one is towards the end. I think it's when he's going to the convention or the thing to kill Barry. I'm not too sure, but I just put like the organ music. At first it was kind of neat, but it just becomes overbearing. It's like church organ almost.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, we get it. There's this whole preaching to the choir, or like maybe it's the whole like, you know, the opiate of the masses. I don't know, but it was just too much. It took me out of the film because it was too loud.
I'm just going to comment on that. I had a note about that. Music is ominous, very Phantom of the Opera with synthesizer. So I thought it was ominous, but I wouldn't say that I really enjoyed it at that point. Yeah. I thought the music was better at the beginning of the film than it was at the end.
I agree.
Yeah.
And as far as the sound effects go and all the whipping and the stuff that happened, I thought that was still very well done. It really unsettled me. The breathing of the television, the stomach vagina sound effects, like I thought all the audio effects were very well done, except the ending of the film with that music when it's all kind of culminating to this big climax of the film, and it's like, I was like, I'm good. So that didn't do it for me. Sam.
Yeah, kind of on that. I don't know what instrument it was, but in my notes, it's at the same part. So we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, is that a banjo playing? Like, what is that? Like, it was just a weird instrument. So that's my only comment I have under this category at all is like, is that a banjo? I have no idea, but I didn't like it.
Okay, so we're going to move into our what the fuck. And actually, I'm going to get Sam to start us off with the what the fuck. So what the fuck happened in this film for you? Other than the whole entire film.
Well, and that's literally my notes. So it said all throughout my notes. So this is under my category. It says all throughout my notes. It's just, ew, what the fuck? Like throughout the entire thing is like literally every like fifth note on there. But then mine was the ear piercing and the weird licking afterwards. Yeah. I just was like, what the fuck is this? What is happening?
Mike?
Mine was around the ear piercing, but it's when she says, take out your Swiss Army knife and cut me here.
Yeah.
And she's already been cut
there's
by
like
previous
3 cuts down her.
Assuming
Assuming he has a Swiss Army knife, this guy is like
everyone had one in the
video
80s.
exec. I don't think he has a Swiss Army knife.
A sleazy lowlife video exec.
They do kind of really hit that home though, the sleazy lowlife. But like his apartment is a pigsty.
Oh, it's
at
disgusting.
the beginning. It's so gross that he does look kind of sleazy. Sorry, Mike.
No. That was my whole point. I was just thinking, like, you made mention of his apartment. All I could think of was that scene where he's looking at his gun and the doorbell rings. He's like, I know. I'll just put this newspaper over it. No one will see it.
And hidden.
And it's like inches off the table. But I thought that was the giant crossword was going to be in that pile of stuff.
No,
so I was like, I don't remember. No, but it's obviously bigger and on the wall.
My what the fuck moment. There were several. At first, it was right away because I didn't know much about this film. And so when they, scramble the feed from Malaysia and they're getting whipped and, she's being tortured in this film. And I was just like, oh God, is this all this movie about is like a snuff film? Is he just going to be pursuing this snuff film?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yes.
And that's all it was. Yeah. So that was my what the fuck. The ear piercing, I thought that was just gross. And then also the TV breathing and him like almost making out with the television. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Like with these guys.
Yeah.
And then when he put the giant VR set on him, I was like, that's fucking huge. Like what?
It was the 80s. Everything was big. The TVs were big. Cars were big.
I love the fact there was CRT TV on a trolley that had the exact same like warning labels and stuff that the trolleys had at school.
Yeah. It's movie day.
It's like, oh, they're wheeling in the TV. We're going to go to our back it up moments. And Mike, you're the only one with a back it up moment here. So have at her.
The whole movie. No. It's the scene when Bridie, his assistant, comes to his apartment.
Okay.
And I don't like it because of this, but like when they confront and like he slaps her because he's looking for that gratification. Again, he's trying to find that sort of tactile connection.
And then he says, sorry, I hit you. And she's like, you didn't hit me.
Yeah. I thought the interaction between the two, the hallucination or wasn't it a hallucination, was so well done. Yeah. So that's my back it up scene. Not because of the slap, but
hiding in the shadows. Anybody with some hiding in the shadows?
None for me.
None for me.
I have one, and it's on the sign at the Spectacular Optical Convention. It's just the line, "Love comes in at the eye," which it is a quote. But there's the idea of, they're opticians, love comes in the eye, whatever. But then this whole film, that love of technology, that love of what's on TV, I thought was quite good. And then it plays well with the theme of everything else.
Yeah, I like that too. I also had a note here about the clay wall. It's like, what is that in the back? It's an electrified clay wall. And I was like, what is that? I was like,
how do you know?
One, how do you know? And two, is that even possible? Can you electrify clay?
I assume so. It's a moist.
It's a moist, the water, but the clay itself, wouldn't that
dampen it? I have no idea.
All I know is from Pokemon and playing Pokemon is that the rock and natural Pokemon did not go well.
Any scientists want to tell us if electricity can travel through clay?
a dry red clay wall.
A dry red clay wall.
It is textured.
Give us a shout. Let us know.
Let us know in the comments. Thanks.
My other one, when he's like, they're looking at Samurai Dreams. It's like, or maybe it's the European one. It's not tacky enough. It's like, what the hell does that even mean? It's not tacky. Like, I think he meant tactile, but yeah.
Did anyone else notice the giant dildo in the opening? It like pans out from it in one of the opening scenes when they're in the office reviewing everything.
No. I thought you meant the one that she takes the geisha dress off of. I'm like, well, that one was obvious.
Yeah, that one was pretty obvious.
No. Another one.
Here's Sam with another dildo.
Yeah. What?
Oh, no, you were the dildo enthusiast.
Yeah. When was that?
Reanimator, when you talked about the woman who played the dead.
Oh,
used
right.
To, put dildos all around.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, not you specifically. We're a dildo enthusiast.
I don't remember being too enthusiastic about dildos, but
everyone's like kind of enthusiastic about dildos. No, I would argue if you're not enthusiastic about it,
everyone's kind of enthusiastic.
No.
Okay, we're going to move on to our bonus features where we find stuff about the film. I'm going to kick us off. And actually, I just wanted to read this thing about, I found this review that Roger Ebert wrote online, and I kind of just loved the way he put this one section. So I'll just read it out to you. It's on rogerebert.com, and it says, Cronenberg had it all figured out at the dawn of home video, how a la carte programming would cater to and thus embolden niche communities, how consumer-grade video products would permanently alter content, how pornography is a progressive addiction, not in the sense of a social progress, but in the way a cancer progresses through the body. Hungrier and stranger, deadlier too, as time goes on. It understood how those on the fringe of society, outcasts and deservedly so, would find fraternity and validation for their delusions, along with an outlet for a humiliation kink developed through evangelical cultures of imagined grievance and martyrdom. And how all of it would be possible because the desire for an unregulated marketplace of ideas necessarily allows every manner of human ugliness to proliferate.
Jesus.
Whoa.
So... yeah, I read that. I was like, whoa. I thought it was pretty much wraps up that whole movie.
Yeah, I'm amazed that Ebert went that sort of profound in his thoughts on it. I thought he would have just dismissed this as trash.
Yes.
No, he loved it.
Wow.
He thought it was fantastic and thought he really nailed how, at the height of the home video craze, the degradation of society. So, I thought it was pretty cool how he said that. Sam, did you have any?
Yeah. So in terms of that giant helmet, I read that David Cronenberg actually had to double James Wood for that scene because they were both terrified they were going to get electrocuted by it. So he was actually in the movie wearing it.
Yeah. The woman who created it even stood in a puddle of water and put it on to prove it. And James Woods is like, like, nope.
Absolutely not.
Sam, do you have another one?
One of mine was that the videotapes are Betamax. So and that was for you, Chad.
And there was 2-inch tape on the shelf as well.
And then
I miss you, Beta. Come back.
and one of the reasons for that was that the actual VHS cassettes were actually too large to fit into the fake stomach.
Yep.
For the special effects scenes.
That makes
so
sense.
They had to.
The Beta tapes were quite a bit smaller than the VHS ones.
Yeah.
Better quality too, from what I was told.
Chad is a big advocate, if you didn't know.
Mike, did you have any?
Yeah, my first one is just on the finances. The budget for the movie was $5.9 million, and it bombed with a box office of 2.1. So not great. But I mean, it's an obscure, very niche Canadian film. So
Well, and like I said, Cronenberg, you have to be kind of in the mood for what he's the journey he's gonna put you through.
The adventure.
Right? The adventure. I don't think this movie is not everybody's cup of tea for sure.
No, it's not a popcorn film.
No. It's a sit down and strap yourself in. So I don't imagine it's not a mainstream kind of deal.
Yeah.
Right. So
No. And one of the comments that I had when I looked it up was, or one of the things that I thought anyways, was how I didn't like the movie poster. I typically love movie posters. I actually didn't like this one. There was one I liked a lot more that I think it has Nicki on it, I think in it. And it looks like, so that one was a little bit better, but the one that's majority blue.
With the bad Photoshop of James Woods.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, that it made me not want to watch it when I saw that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
See, I never really put a lot of stock in the posters, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like if you saw that at Blockbuster, I'd walk right by that.
Be like, nah,
No,
I'm good.
yeah.
See, the one that I remember from my childhood is the one where it's like the TV with lips on it and then the body of Max with the VR headset on it. It was like this weird technology TV thing. So as a kid, I was like, that was cool.
But none of your friends' dads rented
none of
it.
them.
At a party, hey, you guys got to watch this.
Understandably, when I was in elementary and junior high, no dads showed us this movie. Suddenly it's facts of life when we're
That's
drinking grape juice and bubblegum.
Gonna dial this back a bit.
That's all right.
I had another one. David Sabushi, who appears here briefly as a Japanese porn dealer, later became the minister in the Ontario provincial government. His appearance in the controversial film as a pornographer was exploited by the opposition.
Of course, yeah.
It was a movie. I was
Not
acting.
real. It's not real, guys.
Not really a porn dealer. I just had also that 3 different endings were filmed. The ending used in the film was James Wood's idea.
Yeah, I read that as well.
And Sam, did you have any others?
I had one that they ended up having to cut a lot theatrically because there was a studio executive who really hated sex toys. So he was not a dildo enthusiast. And because of rating problems. But then they ended up restoring it later. So after the theatrical release, they put everything else back in it.
So I had something on that where the scene where he and Nicki are making love in front of his TV and then it pulls back and we find out they're on the Videodrome set. The censors wanted to cut it because it was too graphic and too long. And then Cronenberg's like, but it has to show that, is he hallucinating or is this just a metaphor? And they're like, we didn't even see that he was in the Videodrome set, so neither will your audience. And I was like, that is the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And like that is integral because that's the first scene where the hallucinations start to come in, even though we don't know they're hallucinations yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like him and Nicki are both affected
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yeah.
I had one, the scene where James Woods is sitting on the couch with the video slit took 19 hours to film. It took 8 hours to get him into the makeup and ready for the shot.
Oh, poor guy.
And then he was standing on a platform built into the couch with a fake body in front of him. And he stood there for 7 to 9 hours. And he talked about how there was like masseuses or masseurs, like massaging his legs almost constantly to avoid fatigue.
Right.
So that he could just stay in that position. He said to David Cronenberg, I'm doing this once and that's it. So they had to film the whole thing in one day. And he said it was on day 6 because they were doing 6-day shoots. That was day 6 and it was an overtime day. So, yeah. This one I like is Cronenberg talks about the realism of the hallucinations in the director's commentary.
Yeah.
Because that was my complaint with Nightmare on Elm Street is that there's like too ethereal, right? The fog that we always get. And he said like, no, he does hallucinations in his films as realism because to the person hallucinating, they are real.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then listening to the Fly episode, right? The birth of the pupa
Yeah.
or the larva was like very realistic because
Yeah.
to Gina Davis, that is real.
Yeah.
Well, and Naked Lunch too, right? He has a lot of weird hallucinations in Naked Lunch
Yeah. Just a
that
few.
are very real to the person who's going through withdrawal or whatever, right? Like it's heroin addiction, right? Naked Lunch is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one more and it's a fun one. So Roberto Benigni, the Italian filmmaker, met Cronenberg at the Toronto Film Festival one year. And he went up to him and he's like, I love your films. They're so interesting. But he told Cronenberg he used to be terrified to go to Toronto and actually refused to go because the only time for films, a lot was filmed in Toronto, but never labeled Toronto, whereas Cronenberg, it is Toronto.
Yeah.
And so Benigni's like, Toronto's a violent, scary, dirty, dark city because all he knew of it was Cronenberg. So he never wanted to go. And then he's like, but actually it's really nice.
That's funny.
Okay, so now we're going to go into our watchability scale. Sam, what would you give this out of 10?
I was kind of going between a 5 and a 6 for it. Like I said, like it's like above average for some of the movies here. I'll go with the 6 for it, I think. I think I'll stick it at a 6.
Mike?
I started the podcast saying I loved it, and I do. I think it's great. Again, it's not a 10 because there are issues. It's not quite the 9. I'm giving it an 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I'm conflicted. I don't know, probably never watch it again. I think it's worth watching, but I don't know if it's up there. It's definitely not an 8 for me. I don't think, I'm going to go 7.
All right.
I'll give it a 7 because I do think you should see it, but I'm never fucking watching it again.
But it's not a rewatchability scale.
It's not a rewatcher. It's a like, if you've never seen it, I believe the message is good. And I think Cronenberg does a really, really good job directing the film. And James Woods, I think, does a good job acting in the film. It's just so unsettling to watch. For that reason, I wouldn't revisit it, but it is worth checking out. So I'm going to give it a 7, and that's where I'm going to stop.
And that's that.
So with that, thank you very much for listening to us. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We are at ScreamStreamPod. Stop by our website, screamsandstreams.com, where we have information about our episodes, descriptions of our categories, links to our research, our watchability scale, and a page where you can recommend movies you want us to discuss. Please rate, comment on, and subscribe to our show on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. Till next time, this has been Chad and
Sam?
and
Mike.
scare you later.